2 safety tips for foiling. I better go in order. Number 1 is know the foil and know where it is at all times. The foil is not going to jump off the board and hit you. It's not going to walk into you and crack you in the face. It's not going to smack you in the leg. You are going to hit it. You're going to kick it. You're going to walk into it. I've had people show up with cuts here. You know how they got here? Because they walked into it in their effing garage because it's sitting in the back of the pickup truck. I'm serious. This thing is sharp, and you're going to cut yourself constantly by you hitting it. It cannot hit you. Serious. Second tip. You always are going to fall with the surface of the board like a tree. So if the board is flipping over, I'm going to fall with the surface of the board. Now, as windsurfers, that's easy to relate to, like when you first use a harness, right? You hook in the harness and you'd be like, ooh, close. You fall over like, that's what falling over like a tree is, always falling with the top of the board. Very simple rule for foiling. You can lean over, but you cannot bend over. You can lean over, but you cannot bend over. Right now, I am one bent over dude. I'm bending everything. And 100% of my weight is where? Where's all my weight?
Your feet.
My feet. Yeah, duh. I'm on my feet. Bad form, bad posture, king baby. This is the worst form you could ever be as a foiler, but yet it thinks like the right thing. Oh man, this is going to be really crazy. I'm not allowed to bend over. I need to stand very upright like a tree, and I need to own all my weight. I need 100% of my weight on my feet because I'm standing on this airplane and my weight is important. Leaning over, Roland, when I'm leaning over, a little bit of my weight is somewhere else. This is leaning over. I am held up by the trailer. In foiling, you are leaning and you are not held up by the trailer, Ken. It's centrifugally held up. So I want all you guys to get on your bikes. Get on your bikes for a minute, sit on your bikes, hands on the handlebars, play along, get on your bike. Everybody's on the bike. Really sitting and balancing on the bike seat, light pressure on the fingertips. I want you to make a right turn on your bicycle without turning the wheel. Here we go, ready? Go. Alright, taking that turn now, we're going to bring that bike up straight again and bring it back out. This is what leaning over is. That feeling of leaning sideways but facing forward. Now, I want you guys all on your bikes for a minute. I want you all to make a right turn on your bikes. Get on your bikes. Everybody make a right turn. I want you guys to look over here at me. Look over here, make your right turn, but look at me. Make your right turn, but look at me. What's going to happen to that turn if we're looking over to the side? Pretty difficult to get to, especially when we start talking about foiling jibes and stuff. I cannot effectively turn my bike around and be looking the other way or twisting a lot. I can't even do it. And I've been riding a bike my whole life and I can't do that. This whole foiling stuff. So it's really hard when you're a foiler. You can't look around. You can't look at stuff. You can't move. You have to be the tree, stand like a tree. And when I want things to turn, I want to learn to lean over and not bend over. Now back on the bike. Here we go. Back on the bike again. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the bike wheel for a right turn, but not lean. So I just turned my handlebars to the right, and the bike starts to initiate a right turn, but because I didn't lean, what just happened next? I go to fall. Which way? So again, left. So all of a sudden I fall left, and I probably will end up steering the bike back, and I might save it, and I'm going to wobble through. This is when you turn something without leaning. A foil, it's very critical that once you're in the air, you have to lean through every turn. So I want all you guys to stand up for a minute. Imagine for a moment that you're on this board just flying along, whether you're windsurfing or winding. If I put my weight on my heels, which way would my board turn? Upwind. Okay. Now, if I lean my head back and put my weight on the heels, which way would the board turn? Right, right? But what if I just put my weight on my heels? The board is going to turn right. Which direction is my head going to go? So again, which way am I going to fall? No. You told me if you turn the bike wheel to the right, and you didn't lean to the right, you fell where? To the left. Okay, so we're going to call this taco falls, but not the basketball player. When you put weight on your heels, the board is going to turn to the right. But my head is going to fall what direction?
Downwind.
Left, downwind, folding in half. The board goes one way, your head goes, whoa! And right away you fold yourself in half. You see this a lot with winging and a little bit with windsurf foiling.
And then the foil's coming at you.
And then the foil's coming at you. The worst fall you could ever have is the foil coming at you. But that's because you are steering with your heels and your toes without leaning. Everybody stand up for a minute. Stand up. Let's pretend your right foot is going forward, you're standing on the board. Whether you're holding a sail or you're holding a wing. If I put my weight onto my front heel, I'm going to put it there with my head. I'm leaning onto that front heel. That would make the board turn where? To the right. I'm going to go to the back toe. My head slides up over that back toe, and I start banking, the bike turns the other way. That's your entire movement allowed in foiling your entire day. And you guys have to look at me carefully to see me do this standing on the beach, which means if I was doing this on the water, you wouldn't see it. Which is why people that are so good at foiling don't look like they're doing a damn thing. They're standing perfectly still. Their entire movement is back toe and front heel. That's it. And Sergey, they do not look like this. They were having issues yesterday. I remember my motto: I'd rather you guys look good and fail than look bad and made stuff. I need your best form. Right? We need to be very upright, be the tree. And if we're falling over, we just have to go ahead and let ourselves fall over like a tree and don't fight it. Why does a wing foil board have a leash, Sergey? Let's say, and this is the hardest thing to explain about foiling, is that foiling is the difference between having air in the tires or not. In that you now have coast on the water. So you can go upwind, downwind, but you can get through all the gusts and walls because you have air in the tires. They keep rolling. Where before, every wind sport you've done before any foiling sport is you have to paddle all day. You got to pedal uphill, you got to pedal downhill, you got to pedal through all your turns, you know, and also you throw the foil on there, and now you don't have to paddle anymore. You can go and coast, and go and coast. So it gives you a range to be able to coast and get around. So it's going to be tricky. Plus, side tangents for winging right now. I'm going to teach the wing jibe, but I do teach only 2 stances in winging too. I teach a pedaling stance and a coasting stance. All right, and then also with winging, I try to have people foil with their feet really close together. So I'm a big fan of people foiling with their feet close together on a wing board to start with, and that's because you don't know where to stand yet. And if I have them wide, I have a lot of control over a fulcrum that I don't really know. And if my feet are really close together, I have no control over that fulcrum, so I have to be in the right place. And if I get them in the right place with my feet close together, I can just coast there all day long. Now, okay, granted, gorge, choppy, windy, things go a little crazy. But if you looked at Sergey yesterday, I was working really hard on pulling his feet a little closer together and getting him to stand upright, which takes a while. But just forcing yourself into those postures is going to make a difference. But the difference between the windsurfing jibe and the bike, with the bike analogy, and the winging jibe is on the windsurfing jibe, the sail has to stay attached, stays in front of you, where the wing can go anywhere. So this is a little bit more critical, because the wing can actually pull me off balance easier than a windsurfing sail because of all the crazy places the wing can go to pull me off balance. It's kind of funny. Okay, when we first learn to do a wing turn, we're going to point the direction we're going to go with the back hand, and you guys will understand this because of the shoulder thing that we talked about. Right? If I point my back hand the direction I'm going to go, what is my inside shoulder doing? Down, focused on that turn, body's on the turn. So we go into the turn the power off, I release the back hand and point to where I want to turn. As I'm carving around, I'm going to look to where I'm pointing. Towards the carving around. The hand that is still holding the wing, I'm going to rotate the wrist, I'm going to slide the wing to the hand that's pointing. It's going to take a little practice. I'm going to take the arm that's still holding the wing and rotate the steering wheel around and feed it into the hand that's pointing. See, start to turn, release the back hand, keep the wing over the head, ignore the wing, point where we want to go, look where we want to go, carving around to the turn, take the front hand and fly the wing back in position. As soon as we get the wing into the front hand, we reach back and we play the arrow forward, arrow up. As soon as we catch it, we get our balance, so arrow forward, arrow up, arrow forward, arrow up, arrow up. I'm trying to use that arrow to help balance me, to get control, to use to being switch-footed.
So why are you doing the arrow up and arrow?
I don't know where to hold it yet because I'm not used to being switch-footed.
Ah.
Arrow forward, Roland pulls my weight where? Right, so let's look at the switch-foot, and I roll the arrow forward, Roland, it pulls my weight right down into that front foot and drives me forward.
Ah.
And when I point the arrow up, it picks me up off of my feet.
So you're using that to help shift your feet weight.
That's right.
To balance the foil.
Rotating it forward and feeding it into my front arm, that forward pull should help pull me back down onto my front foot and go out. If I get the arrow up too much, then it pulls me up and I slow down and come off my feet. But since when I teach normal winging, I use forward, arrow up command. I use wing back, wing forward, arrow up, arrow down. I'm using those two commands constantly when I'm driving my students. So arrow forward as you're starting to foil, or arrow forward when you're trying to exit, actually flattens everything out and drives you level. And Andre's the wind, because we need a wind, so I would say this would be off. This is arrow up, arrow down, right arrow up, arrow down, arrow forward, and arrow backward.
So arrow forward's pointing it into the wind.
No, arrow forward's pointing to the front forward, the direction I want to go.
Okay.
Arrow into the wind, so he's 12 o'clock right now, he's the wind. So arrow down would be that.
Yep.
But when the arrow is forward, Roland, how easy is it to also be pointed down?
Not easy.
It is, no, it's easy. Think about how many people when they turn it forward and then their wings constantly dumping over.
Oh yeah, it's easy bad.
The arrow is pointed forward, it is also easy to point down. So the only time you actually want it pointed down is when you're the foil, when you're going straight upwind, your hands are back on the boom, and you have the arrow below the board. The rest of the time, your arrow's up all the time. But what everybody does wrong, they come out of the jibe, is then they go arrow up. So right away it pulls them off, where I got to keep that inside shoulder down, so I want arrow forward, and it drives me down. This is very short on the jibes for now. So it's all about posture, sitting, being at a point, and just being able to keep the shoulders down. Both windsurf foil and wing foil, I'm going to keep the shoulder down. Everything comes around, it's making a nice turn. So start pulling that inside. It's hard to make a left turn, and the inside shoulder is higher than the outside. Bikes don't work that way, but it doesn't work that way. And
so how many joysticks do you have on the wing?
Just you.
Just yourself, right?
Yes.
The wing doesn't affect.
It just pulls you off of yourself.
Right, it pulls you off, and that'll move the joystick of your body.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And this is pretty simple. Like we're really, and I can't turn, I can't twist, I can't, like everything's just straight over the middle. Yes. So when it's falling, if it falls and I start focusing on Andre, I'm never going to get it. I want to keep turning the leading edge, and keep turning the board, so that if the board turns and the leading edge is pointing the right direction, when the wind hits it, then it flies in and pulls you forward. If I don't readjust the leading edge and I keep turning, then it catches the wind, it's going to pull me the wrong way. So you're rotating to the incoming angle of the new wind that you're expecting.